Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo Uchiha here, back with a new video of what if Naruto was in a political marriage. I apologize that I haven't uploaded on my regular time or my new series yet. It will be uploaded but tomorrow because I've been busy today and I have found a little free time right now. So yeah, I thought why not record a part of what if Naruto was in a political marriage because it's been put behind a few days. Anyways, if you haven't, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. And without further ado, let's begin our story. And it was looking that way too. The sun was going down and the air was getting chilly. Soon he'd have to climb into bed alone, something he hadn't done in a very long time. Indeed, Naruto sighed to himself and began drawing back the sheets on his coat. There was a slight coughing sound coming from the entrance. What was standing there kept Naruto's attention for a very long time. Yujito was in a towel and nothing else. It appeared her hair was down and still in strands from the water locked in them. Steam was drifting off of her body, meaning that she'd been in the hot spring until very recently. She had a brave and defiant look on her face that was somewhat dampened by the growing blush on her cheeks, expanding across her nose and up her forehead. She stepped in the tent and left the flaps flutter back into place. We never got to finish what we started yesterday, Yuto said. Naruto grinned a little sheepishly. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. It's just been kinda hectic lately. It's fine. I get it. It's not every day that you learn you're going to be a father, Yuto said reassuringly. Naruto nodded. Silence engulfed the tent. Neither really knew how to start out. The previous day attempt in intercourse had been a matter of passion and circumstance. Now that they were both just there and accepting what was about to happen, it brought up a slightly awkward, anxious air in the tent. So, Yuito said finally, how do you want to start? Well, we'd usually start with kissing. Naruto winced immediately. There was no way that Yuito wanted to hear about how he did it with Fu or Kuritsuchi. Right, of course, Yuito said, taking a few tentative steps to his coat. Naruto stood up and faced her as she did so. When she was close enough that Naruto could feel the hot air of her breath on his forehead, she leaned in and kissed him on the lips, not taking her hands off from the towel. Naruto recuperated and wrapped his arms around her, drawing him closer to him. She drew her, roughly tongue to and fro on Naruto's lips, asking for permission to enter. Naruto allowed and she pushed inwardly, exploring his mouth, fighting a little with his own tongue, allowing Naruto access to her mouth. Naruto ended the kiss, bringing his lips down to her jaw, to her collarbone, staying just long enough to nibble and suck a biting or protruding scar, then down her ribcage, up until the towel that she was still holding on to. Naruto eyes upwards as if asking for permission. When he received no words of negative, he brought his hands and clasped them in hers, slowly bringing the towel down and uncovering her modesty-sized breast. Naruto lowered himself on the coot into a sitting position, bringing Yujiro down with him. She flung away the towel and sat on his lap, knees on either side of him. There she held him out of his night shirt and planted a few kisses on his neck, drawing her hands up and down his toned abdominal muscles. Uzumaki brought his hands upwards and palmed her breast, gently rubbing them in between his fingers. He could hear her breath hitch slightly on his neck. Bringing a smile to his face, he oriented her nipples in between his middle and index fingers, squeezing and pulling the small lumps to her satisfaction. Her satisfaction wasn't being stated fast enough, seeing as how she pushed Naruto on the bed and began sucking and nibbling on his neck while she brought a hand down to rub at his crouched and engrossed member. Naruto gave out a groan of pleasure at his ministrations, bringing a smile to her Yujito's face. She turned around so that she was facing Naruto's lower body and tucked down the boxer briefs that Naruto was wearing for sleepwear. His... Well, I guess I'm gonna skip from here because it's a juicy part. So yeah, that's a no-no for me because my family members also watch my video. Sorry guys. They laid like that for a while, basking in the afterglow of sex. Naruto began laughing to himself a little Wait, you know what? Naruto asked all of a sudden. What? Yuito asked, eyes beginning to drop closed. I forgot something. At that, Naruto propped himself on his elbow and looked down on Yuito's tired face. What did you forget? Yuito asked tiredly. I love you. Yuito's eyes widened from their sleepy state and she felt a blush creep forward on her cheeks. I love you too. Naruto laughed and wrapped his arms around her, placing a kiss all over her face. I love you so much, he said. I can't believe I forgot to say how much I love you. Yuto began giggling and half-heartedly slapped Naruto's chest. Well, how much do you love me? She asked whimsically. I love you to the moon and back again, Naruto said comically. I love you enough that I just want to keep you near and fuck you over and over again. Yuto laughed a little too. What if I get fat? Will you love me then? Will you fuck me then? Naruto leaned down and licked at her sweaty brow, tasting the salt liquid that came from the regrets of pleasure. I'd absolutely ravish you if you got fat. What if I got blind? I put a collar and leash on you, then you lead you around. But if I get an arm cut off? Naruto grinned and pulled off his civilian use arm. Then I'll give you a hand, he said, brushing the hair away from her eyes with the mechanical fingers. What if I die? Naruto's eyes widened. Then I'll love you for the eternity that you'd be gone from me, he said, caressing her cheeks with the back of his knuckles. Yushito's eyes softened. Naruto, what are we going to do? What do you mean? Yushito gestured wildly with her arm. There are people out there who want us dead. Naruto buried his face into the crook of Yushito's neck. Then I'm just going to have to kick ass, take names and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Yushito chuckled a little bit. That's quite the goal you have there. Naruto blacked indignantly. I think it's a wonderful plan. Simplistic, easy to remember, hard to get wrong. Naruto emphasized each point with a kiss to Yushito's lips. Yushito laughed at his points. I guess you're right, she said, laying down next to him. Naruto laid down by her side and wrapped his arms around her. Of course I'm right. You married to Naruto Uzumaki, the guy who's gonna be Hokage someday. Yushito closed her eyes and went to sleep with a content smile on her face. Chapter 34. The lovely conversations. Temari awoke slowly that morning. The sunlight filtered through the blinds infinitesimally, only barely touching her eyelids and awaking her with a grace that she greatly appreciated, considering the past 3 years of her life had been spent being awoken to the sound of people hurrying about in the search of other people or training grounds. Her eyelids cracked up open and she began stretching her legs back out, with her arms reaching out above her head. Her bed partner was beginning to rouse himself from slumber as well, if the sound of pleasant morning groans were of any indicator. Naruto's arms tightened around hers and he brought her snug against his nude chest. Temari almost let out a delegated purr from the feeling. Temari was content to stay in that position for a few seconds before she unwrapped Naruto's arms from her to get up and do her morning routine. She got out of her pajamas and put on her loosely fitting wind smoke. She then tinkered around with her prosthetic, making sure everything was working like it should. After that, she clipped on some forearms and skin guards and put on some mesh sleeves and socks. Looking to the mirror above the clothing drawers, she grabbed a few hairpins and with a practiced ease put her hair up into her normal 4 ponytails. Come back to the bed, Naruto groaned, out his arm stretching around him in search for the Sunanin. Temari smirked a little bit at the man and instead walking over to the blinds, she pulled them up all at once, causing the room to be filled up with a pleasant morning warmth and sunlight. The sun was barely above the waves, signifying it to be the early morning, as well as coating the sea archipelago in a beautiful mosaic of pink and red. Temari sighs in contentment and leaned against the window frame a little bit, soaking in the sight before her. Yeah, she could get used to this. Naruto sat up and rubbed the sleeping out of her eyes. What time is it? He slurred out in morning stupor. Temari looked at the analog clock above the bed and clicked her tongue. 5:30. Naruto groaned out once again and slumped to the mattress with an air of defeat. 30 more minutes, he mumbled. You're a shadow clone. Just dispel. Naruto clone busied himself with making Tamari's pillow a good spooning partner before replying. Us shadow clones have feelings too, you know. Tamari rolled her eyes good naturally and walked out of her room, leaving the clone of Naruto to his sleep. The safe house that they were relocated to wasn't so much a hole in the ground as a giant mansion with ceiling arrays covering almost every inch of its area, barring anyone or everyone who wasn't tuned into the seals from entering. The small island that they were taken up on was only big enough to support around 3 trees, a small family of lemming, and the biggest living residence Tamari had ever seen, much less lived in. A sauna, a swimming pool, a dojo, a second dojo, 7 master bedrooms, each with master bathrooms and walk-in closets that went mostly unused, a giant kitchen and fully stocked pantry, an entire room filled with to the brim with flat screen TVs that took up entire walls with the newest game consoles and the best of the land of water's cable services hooked up to them. Okay, that was kind of unexpected. Anyways, on to the story. A room that was full wall to wall with any assortment of close range to long range weapons and a trampoline room. The thing is, no one knows how to mansion is operated and was made. May noted that she only found out about it after one of her forces patrolling the area after the death of Mizukage and subsequent return of the village hidden in the mist, never reported back in. After finding out about it, she got Jiraiya to figure out the ceiling array to penetrate the palace and key her into it. Some sources suggested that it was the second Mizukage who built it and that it would be some sort of private resort for the leaders to live during the downtime in peace. But others just say that Yagura made that lie up so he wouldn't be held all too responsible for the money sink that the mansion was. Whatever the cause was, Tamari and her merry band of sister wives were loving it. She landed her butt in the dining room chair where Fu and Kurtsuchi were also sitting, just starting to munch into their delightful breakfast of cereal, toast, bacon, and waffles. Kurtsuchi slathered 2 slices of toast and with butter and piled bacon in between them, making a toast bacon sandwich. Tamari sat down and poured herself some orange juice, then looked with equal parts horror and interest as the Ivanin began shoving it in her mouth with reckless abandon. Should you really be doing that? Tamari asked. Kotsuchi slowly lowered the sandwich from her face and gave Tamari a quizzled look. What? She asked, crumbs of pieces of half-chewed bacon flinging from her facial orifice. I'm hungry. Well, yeah, but shouldn't you be more wary of what you eat now that you're pregnant? I am wary. She paused to swallow the bacon and toast in her mouth. I'm eating enough for two, you know. Oh, please, Yujiro said, walking into the room clad only in her underwear and a certain after intercourse glow. You usually eat enough for a whole family, 4 people, and you only been pregnant for a few weeks. Fu got a light dusting of blush on her cheeks. Can you put on some clothes, please? Yujiro sat down at the table and started to go through the motions of pouring herself some cereal. Why, we're all women here. Fu was about to retort, but was cut off by Kuretsuchi, who gave a very loud, very succulent bark of laughter. Yujiro, the object of her gaze, gave an annoyed look at Kuretsuchi. What is it? When neither Kuretsuchi nor Fu told Yujiro what was wrong with her, she directed her quizzled and somewhat annoyed gaze to Tamari. Tamari, not knowing exactly what to say, made some hand gesture across her chest. Yujiro looked down and huffed in amusement. She drew a finger across her upper chest, and when she withdrew it, a strand of semen was dangling off of it. Yujiro smirked and brought it closer to Kuretsuchi, who backed away immediately. What's wrong? Yujiro asked. You like bitter food, right? Kuretsuchi went so far as to change seats closer to Tamari in order to get away from the cartoon. I'm not going to eat semen at the breakfast table. When he used to look at Fu, she only received a shake of the head from an answer. The Nin shrugged and wiped the semen fluid on a nearby napkin and proceeded to eat her cereal off. Tamari busied herself with her own cereal, the normal operation for the past week at the resort mansion / safe house. was to train in the various shinobi disciplines in the late morning and afternoon, take breaks for lunch, go to any of the extracurricular rooms before dining and bed. Naruto wasn't exempt from this schedule, he just wasn't much of a morning person. It was during this time that Temari found herself questioning herself personally. She liked to think that she could look at things with an objective point of view. For example, she knew that she was one of the most proficient Genjutsu users in the entire continent, capable of to overpowering some of the most brutal and all-encompassing fire techniques. When though fire was strong against wind, she knew that she had pretty features and a good body. She didn't have a complex about her leg. In fact, she was actually kind of glad for that thing. An extra concealable fan always on hand. That really useful for shinobi was in her point of view, but there was one thing that she just couldn't help but question about herself and no find an object answer to: her feelings toward her husband. Objectively, she knew that he was a pretty good boy, nice looks, good body, a fallible personality, energetic, easy to please, eager to please, and overall very good male specimen. She knew that things were weird, especially since he was romantically involved with three women at the same time, but considered there was practically always a shadow clone of him within arm's reach. It never really felt like she had to share him at all. She assumed that the feelings was synonymous, even more so with Fu and Kuretsuchi and Yuichiro. Basically, she was questioning whether or not she was in love with Naruto. No, that's not right. Perhaps she was questioning what love is, or what is it defined from. Hey guys, Tamari started out wisely. When she had the attention from the three lovers of Uzumaki Naruto, she slowly asked the question: what do you guys like about Naruto? Or I guess, why are you in love with him? Yuito was the first one to speak. I love him because when I think of a life without him, I don't think that the life would be worth living. But why is it that? Why wouldn't that life be worth living? Yuito leaned back and thought for a few seconds before continuing with her train of thoughts. I love Naruto. I know that I love Naruto because I feel like I can trust him unconditionally with all my heart. I know that I love Naruto because he's one of the few people in this world who can understand who I am and what I've gone through. I know that I love Naruto because when I think of his smiling face, always makes me smile. As she spoke, her lips curved up into a smile. Fu was the next one to speak. I love Naruto because I feel like I can be myself around him. He also put up with all my shit. He's nice. He tries his hardest to support me. I don't feel like I have to try around him. I can just do what I do and he'll just still love me for it. He got a big dick, Kuretsuchi said simply, going back to her second bacon sandwich of the morning with a mouthful of bacon toast. She looked up to all the deadpan stares with a blank expression. What? She asked, spread it and crumbs flinging out of her mouth. When the starting persisted, she put out her hands in defeat and swallowed the food. Okay, I guess I love him because he doesn't treat me special. He doesn't what? Tamari asked confused. Kuretsuchi began floundering for words. He doesn't treat me like the granddaughter of Tsuchikage. He doesn't treat me like royalty. He treats me like me, I guess. He pulls pranks on me and I pull pranks on him. When I do something stupid, he calls me stupid, then helps me undo the stupid thing I did. He just doesn't care what I am. Why do you need to know anyways? You love him too? Tamari furrowed her eyebrows together and looked off into the distance. I don't think so. He's nice, I guess. He talks to me when I need to talk. He helps me out with my jutsu. He's there for me when I need him, but I don't think I love him. What is love? What does love feel like? Love feels like wanting to be with someone for the rest of their life. Even if you have bad points and good points. If you're willing to put up with them for eternity, then that's love. You just stated. I love for me feels like you're not comfortable with that other person, Fu said. Love feels like being willing to carry their child even though you're only 18, if only for the fact that I'd make him happy to see his kid's face. Kuretsuchi said with a mouthful of fluffy waffle. Yeah, I don't think I got that, Tamari said. May walked in next, working out her kinks through a variety of morning stretches. What's we're talking about? She asked, sitting down and pouring herself some orange juice. We were talking about why we're in love with Naruto, he just said. And telling it to Tamari, she continued, and how it feels like to be in love. May nodded understandably. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to ask you three something. May asked, airily still gurgling because of the earliness of the hour. Yusto crooked her bro, yeah? What's Naruto into? Yusto paused for a second, mentally processing her words. What he is into? Ramen, I guess. He's like ramen. No. I mean, what turns him on sexually? The water that was in Wu's mouth spilled onto her skirt with the sudden relaxation of her jaw. Why do you need to know that? Because I want to have sex with him. May asked as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. You want to have sex with him? Kurtsuchi remarked loudly. Yeah. Why are you so surprised? Because Kurtsuchi lost her train of thoughts, which was picked up by Fu. Because you're always acting like Naruto's the child you never had. You damn Shotokan, Kurtsuchi added. May looked personally affronted by such an accusation, albeit for a different reason than one would have thought. What about Yusto? We're the same age and she'd have sex with him. How am I the Shotokan here? Yusto is emotionally stunted. You're normal, Kurtsuchi said, crossing her arms across her chest in righteous affirmation of her correctness. Yusto's eyes narrowed dangerously. What do you mean by that? Plus, Fu added, ignoring Yusto's completely. You act like his mom. I don't act like his mom. Yes, you do. Fu stated plainly. You make bentos for him whenever you're here and not in Kiri. When his face is dirty, you lick your fingers and clean away the stuff on his face. Remember that time he had the nightmare like 2 years ago? You woke yourself up to tuck him into the bed. How do you know about that? May asked, genuinely perplexed. Because I was with him when it happened. You scolded him like he's your son. You gave him heartwarming hugs when he's having a bad day. He has repeatedly linked you to a mother figure. Are you trying to make a point? May asked dryly. I remember that Naruto would have likened you to a sister figure. How is this any different? It's just is, I guess, Fu finally said. Acting like a sister is more close to acting like a lover than a mother is. May laced together her fingers and propped her head up on her slim appendage. I'm no less married to him than you are. What I want to do with him is of his concern, not yours. I'm fucking pregnant with his kid, Fu said, getting passionate. What you do with him is of my complete concern. If you mean to imply that I want to have sex with him in order to get pregnant, then you can rest assured that I will use all the protection available for me. It's not that, it's just why do you want to have sex with him? Well, it has been a rather long time since I last achieved coitus. So you just want to sex with him because you're horny? No, I refuse. Whether or not you refuse is none of my concern, May said coldly, and it's rather pretentious of you to think that I only want to have sex with him because I'm horny. I care for Naruto, I really do. Fu crossed her arms over her chest. Sexual intercourse is a show of physical affection that symbolizes the love one party feels to another. If you only care for him, then you have no right to achieve coitus with him. What are you guys talking about? All eyes sets went to a very confused and very naked female Naruto clone, who was standing there looking like a newborn in the world. Naruto, May said, a rosy blush beginning to paint her cheeks as red. I didn't want you to find out this. I'm not Naruto, the clone interrupted. She gestured to her eyes, which had slits, pupil and red irises. I'm Kurama. All five at the table looked taken aback by this new transformation. Kurama, Yusto asked. So does this mean that you're a female now? The clone shrugged. I don't know. Truth to be told, I don't really feel all that comfortable when I'm in a human form. I prefer having 4 legs, but I guess that I like being a female more when I'm a human. They're more like dexterous, like a fox. Yusto's eyes furrowed. But that's just a transformation. You should be more or less agile than Naruto is with the fox lady shrugged once more. Placebo effect. Don't care. Kurama clumsily sat down in a chair and reached for the toast pile. Watching her eat was completely and irrevocably fun to watch. Constructs of chakra don't usually have to eat, but having no snort at all was having a rather harmful effect on her coordination. With putting food in her mouth after a few bites and a clearing throat, she finally looked up and addressed all of the 5 wives. So what were you guys talking about? As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. I know it's quite short one because I'm not feeling well today and I've been busy, and I am going to be busy for like 2 days more, and there might be or might not be videos for the next 2 days, but I'm going to try to post videos for the next 2 days. Hopefully I can do so. And yeah, a movie as well. So that's it for today. And if you like, if you like this part, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And this is Apollo Uchiha, and I'm signing out.